All right, what's going on, everybody? It's Fat Belly here, and I'm with a pretty great guest, Nostalgianomics. He's pretty much a legend on these YouTube parts. He's definitely up and coming. He's full time now, and it's great to have him on here. I definitely appreciate his time. So, how you doing, Alex?
Man, I'm ready, dude. Having a good night. Yeah, I'm still still keeping it going full time for now. We'll see how long I can keep that up. But no, it's been a great time.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I don't necessarily know your whole situation, but it's definitely nice when you have a partner that is able to, have another income as well. So, well, if full time Pokemon is a dream, go ahead, go for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot more work than you think. Especially like YouTube. I mean, I know watching YouTube back in the day, it's just you just kind of always hear people say like, oh, you're burnt out, or oh, it's so much work, and come to find out. It actually is a lot of work. And yeah, when you're making a lot of videos, you can feel burnt out. So I do get where those people came from. And it's, but again, it's fun. It's worth it. It's rewarding. I do still love it. So.
Yes, I mean, you make videos pretty much daily. So, I guess, do you have like a routine that you kind of like? So it's like in the morning after this time, it's like I'm gonna sit down and do my video, or how do you kind of go about it?
I would love to get to that point. There was a time in the past where I had some banked videos, and these days it doesn't happen. It's just like I have so much other stuff going on is the issue. It's like, trying to source cards for the stores for TCG Player and eBay and grading, and then always trying to keep, a lookout for any like sealed product to continue putting my investments. And then keeping the videos rolling. Obviously now I'm doing pack breaks on my YouTube, on whatnot, and trying to source for that. And so there's just so many moving parts right now, and then dealing with sponsors and dealing with, this and that. And it's, honestly, man, I try to get up and make a video every single day. If I don't make one, I try to have a live. Some days I go without them, but I'm really just not on any type of schedule right now. I would love to get to that at one point when things settle down, but it's just not there right now.
Okay, so I guess now that you are full time, do you do a lot of like shipping out stuff? And I'm assuming that takes up a lot of your time as well.
Yeah. So that's kind of like a lot of my mornings is, out of bed, I'll just kind of be shipping with my breakfast, and I'll try to get all the shipments done early. And then I usually try to make a video if I haven't had one. And then, just kind of go from there, whatever else kind of I have that came about through the last night, any like messages or things I have to respond to, any type of ordered, issues, deal with any type of listing. It's just, it's crazy, but like somehow every single day gets filled up. Sometimes every single day gets filled up with work, and but I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful things are staying busy.
Yeah. I guess I don't necessarily want to ask you like, too many personal questions, but do you have plans for a family, or I guess, I mean, I don't necessarily know if you want to answer that, or, if I should
Oh
even
yeah,
ask you
I'll
that.
answer
I
anything,
already, I
man.
already asked you. So
Yeah, no, I'll answer anything. No, we actually, honestly, I'm just one of those people that I just never. I mean, maybe like I said, maybe if we were like multi millionaires and didn't have to worry about work at all, and it would be nice and easy, and maybe I'd have kids. But I mean, I just didn't really want to have kids. Just trying to work. My wife works, just not having any time for us, and not being able to start our lives together until we're in our 40s and 50s type thing. It's just not what we wanted. And so, no, we don't have any plans to like have kids or anything. It's just us.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. My my aunt and her husband, uncle, they've been married for 26 or 20 something like that years, and they don't have kids and they don't plan on having kids, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like nothing against it. If you can make it work, it's awesome. It's just I mean, everyone like around me has kids. My friends have kids. Like all my cousins and stuff I grew up with, they all have kids, and I know how much work that is. And there's definitely a lot of sacrifices that you have to go through. Especially in the younger years. And I just wasn't the person that was going to do it. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Yeah, I don't have kids, and I definitely enjoy my freedom, so I plan on having kids, but pushing that off a little bit. So
Hey, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, enjoy your life, right? Enjoy it while you can, because once that happens, you really got to put a lot of the kind of you and her stuff on hold.
and especially the personal like things where you oh, I got an extra $500. Let's throw it into Pokemon or cards or whatever I want to just throw it in on. And it's like when you have a child, you probably shouldn't necessarily do that. It's not probably the smartest thing to do. So,
Yeah.
well, but so I know you're big into the Sword and Shield era. Well, I guess I have a question on Sword and Shield specifically. If let's say somebody is going in to invest in the Sword and Shield era and they want to put in, let's say, $1,000, would you recommend that person putting that $1,000 into one particular set, or would you say maybe a couple sets, or would you say and maybe collect all of them, like all the booster boxes, kind of like how in your video you have all of them displayed? Would you say that was, or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. It's just a hard question, without knowing anyone's specific financial, position and their risk tolerance and what their goals are. Like, I mean, first off, I don't give any like direct advice, but like if you're asking me like what I would do with $1,000 if I'm just starting out in this hobby, yeah, I mean, I think the later Sword and Shield sets, like all the alt art era stuff, I think that's going to have your best chance of moving the quickest. I mean, Scarlet and Violet right now is great because you can get in at such low prices, so it's such low risk. And so you could say the Sword and Shield stuff's a little higher risk because it's already risen, but just the amount of people that enter the hobby, the amount of love those sets have, the amount of craze that's still over the alt arts, and I just don't see those sets going lower, especially now the reprints are basically over. And so, yeah, if it was me, I would be doing. I like to diversify a little more. It just again depends on how risky you want to get. If you really want to, try and set pick and put it all in one set that you feel is the greatest, you could probably outperform, the diversification method. But I'd probably diversify in, like maybe some Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, Brilliant Stars, Lost Origins, Silver Tempest, Astral Radiance, like stuff like that. I think Evolving Skies, obviously, I think it's going to keep going. But even if it goes from 500 to 1,000, like it's only double. I think there's probably a little better, more chance of doing better percentage wise in the same time period. And some of those other sets, like, the Lost Origins and the Brilliant Stars that you can still find in the 140s, 150s, things like that. But yeah, I'd spread it across the alt art sets and go from there. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Honestly, I would probably avoid the early Sword and Shield sets if I'm quote unquote investing. If I'm collecting, I would, sure, go ahead because, who knows what would happen. But if I'm strictly investing, I would, and speculating into something that could rise or double or whatever, it would definitely be in the later sets for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're collecting, I think I would still probably start with those, and then maybe even get Evolving Skies in there because it seems like it's going to be taking off here soon. Because I think you're going to have time or more time with like the Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Rebel Clash, and Sword and Shield base. Like, yeah, they'll probably rise over time, just with attrition of the product and things like that. But I think you'll have time to go and collect one of each of those boxes if you want to, and I don't think the prices in those are gonna, change too drastically as I think a lot of the alt art sets are, in the next 1, 2, 3 years type thing.
Yeah, I definitely could see that as well. If something's gonna double, triple, quadruple, whatever, it's gonna be those later sets.
Yeah.
I guess too, in one of your recent videos, you were kind of saying how, people want the Sword and Shield set over these X, Y, and Sun and Moon sets. Do you think that's just because that's when a lot of people jumped in and that's just what they came in as, and they don't really want to go back to these other sets, or what do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, like a lot of the X, Y, and Sun and Moon's been seeing some good movement, especially recently. But yeah, I think that's what it is. Like that's where the most popularity is. I mean, especially recently. XY's right when I came in. I still have a lot of love for it. And there were a lot of people that came in XY, right? I mean, that's Pokemon Go, that's Evolutions. Like there were a lot of people in there, but not as much as kind of the whole, pandemic, Logan Paul, all the celebrities getting in Sword and Shield time. So I think it's just kind of the amount of popularity in each era is kind of like dependent on what was going on. I mean, XY still has some popularity, and we're still seeing some movement. but there was as many people in Pokemon then as there was in Sun and Moon with everything going on and the hidden fates and that bit boom, which then again, that is less than the Sword and Shield was going on. So it's like, I think it's all kind of working out as it should, where, you know, you had the biggest amount of people come into the hobby. And, you know, we're starting to see it kind of flow backwards a little bit. But yeah, I think that's definitely what the deal is that's where the majority of people came in the hobby right now.
Yeah, and I think too, another little thing on that as well is that you know, the XY, you could say the later Sun and Moon sets, they have good cards, but the early Sun and Moon and the XY, they don't really have anything. I mean, there's just nothing in a lot of those sets, so it's just like you're paying a premium for the sealed box, whereas like some of these Sword and Shield sets, you're paying, you know, yeah, you're paying a premium for the sealed box, but it's like you're getting a set that has a lot of hits in it, so it just has more, you know, to it.
Yeah, man. I mean, later Sun and Moon sets, they do pretty well, you know, as far as like raw card value. But yeah, like the early sets and XY, I mean, the raw cards just have very little value. Now there is some, you know, good amount higher multiples on the 10s because print quality is worse and things. So, you know, that's one of the things with like the alt arts. It's like, well, yeah, they're really hard to pull and they have really good value, you know, raw, but there's really no big, you know, grading plays there. Like you might double your money. Whereas with XY, you know, those raw cards, they can, you know, sometimes 10x the money when they get a 10, you know, especially some of those $50 cards that sell for like 500 plus as a 10. So, you know, that could have something to do with the XY and the early Sun and Moon is that grading chase, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yep, that's true. Because those early XY cards, like those full arts, they're just, a lot of them are just beat.
Yeah. I've opened some XY on the channel. It's just, it comes out of the pack like that. There's nothing you can do.
Yep. I guess we can answer Poke Depot's store question, or his question here in the chat.
All right.
Do you guys think looking at short-term charts matter for long-term investors? If I'm gonna be honest, I would probably say no. But the short-term charts, you would obviously just want to quote unquote buy at the lowest. But you know, the short-term charts aren't going to predict what's going to happen in 5 years. So I would say no.
Do you guys think looking at short-term charts matters? Yeah, I mean, I would say no overall. I mean, I would say after the first 2 to 3 years, the set being released, after kind of all the reprints have fizzled out and this everything's kind of getting that more normalized growth. After that, like the charts from like the 3 to 4 years and 4 to 5 years, like it's going to give you a little better idea of how it's moving and, you know, if you're looking to get in or things like that. But I mean, overall, yeah, it's really hard to tell how things are going to perform because here's the thing, like looking at last year's Sun and Moon, there's no way to predict what this year is going to do based on those charts. Like a lot of Sun and Moon sets took like all the tag team, you know, waifu craze. Like you can't predict what's going to happen now. It's kind of like predicting vintage during the boom and like after. It's just when those types of, you know, runs happen, where do you kind of go from there? Like a 1 year, 2 year chart just not going to do any justice, you know?
Yeah. And he says, what's short term? I mean, you can consider short term a couple months if you're, you know, flipping things. But I would consider short term like a year to maybe 2 years if you're looking at like the short term investing kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I mean, like some of the short term kind of plays, I guess I kind of looked at was the TikTok deals. Some of those Sword and Shield sets, like the Silver Tempest and some of the Lost Origins, you could get for like $70, and it's just like that. There's just a steal on that, and it's just there's nothing you can do but to go, you know, up from there. So it's like, come on now.
If you can make plays like that, you just take them.
And I look at that as a short term kind of investment. You know, I'm kind of, you know, looking at maybe next year or 2 years when it's out of print and they're maybe $200 kind of box and get rid of them then.
Right.
But I guess if you had to say, what was your favorite set then in Sword and Shield?
In Sword and Shield, I mean, it's hard.
As an
It's hard not
investment, and then as a set.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's hard not to say Evolving Skies, right? Like, I mean, it's the cop out answer, but you have to. Some people might say Crown Zenith. I mean, I still got to stick with Evolving Skies though as being the best set, best investment. Like right now for me, you know what I really like. I mean, at the price points they are right now, right? I still think Brilliant Stars is actually at the play. Just because I would say Lost Origin, but Lost Origin, unless you find deals, the market price and that's crept back up in like the high 30s, low 40s. Where Brilliant Stars is still like 150 to 160. It's pretty close now. And Brilliant Stars is older. It's got less supply left in the market than Lost Origin does right now. And it still has a trainer gallery. You could say it's not as strong as Lost Origins, but it's still a great trainer gallery. It's got those evolutions. I mean, I think it's just as strong. And so I like Brilliant Stars at the price point right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like Brilliant Stars. If we're talking about $10-$20 here or there out of those sets, I'm putting my money in that one for sure too.
Yeah, yeah.
There's, I guess, a couple things about Hidden Fates and Shining Legends. Yeah, those sets are definitely, they've been stagnant for a while. I know Hidden Fates. I remember it was at my local game store for like $150, and this was probably like almost 2 years ago, if not longer. And it's like they really haven't moved up maybe $20 since then. And it's just like I don't know, not too sure what's up with Hidden Fates. If it's just that's just the price it's going to be at for a long time, unless it crashes, or I don't. I'm not too sure what's happening with those.
So I did a video about like how the price of a lot of these sets, the single packs, are basically selling at as much or even like a little more than what the actual sealed ETB is. So it's like a lot of the specialty sets, they just don't have any premium the way that booster boxes do. Like you can look at pretty much every booster box set after a certain amount of age, and the box is always going to have that sealed premium over loose packs or other products. So I think that definitely there's an issue there. So it's again, this is you're always got to be evolving, right? Like you always have to be evolving your ideas and paying attention to the customers and the market. And I think that's one thing we need to be paying attention to is that the customers, the market, they're not valuing sealed ETBs, especially sets, the way that people are valuing sealed booster boxes. And I think that's one of the reasons they're staying stagnant is because people, they're much more likely to just buy the packs if they can get them around the same price. I don't know. I don't know what's the reasoning is there. It doesn't make sense to me. I think they should be holding a premium and rising more. But I think that's one of the reasons because the packs are available. They're in tons of different products. And even though they're in tons of different products and booster box sets, the booster boxes still reign supreme and hold a premium. But I think that's why Shining Legends, Celebrations, Hidden Fates, some of the other specialty sets just aren't moving.
You think they'd ever do a booster box of a specialty set, or is that just never a thing that they would ever even do?
I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I think that's why Japanese product and specialty sets is such a sure thing. Like before the boom, right? Before everything, I mean, Japanese wasn't what it is now, right? Specialty sets have always done really well in Japanese. And I think that's one of the reasons because it's still, I mean, it's a shorter box, but it's still a box, right? It's still a booster box. Whereas, I don't know why English doesn't do that, but I think it just doesn't hit right for most people, I guess. It's not that booster box. Maybe the bundles, like the booster bundles, they're trying to make into, sort of a thing like that. So I don't know how that's going to progress. But yeah, it's definitely a thing. I don't like. I don't have a good answer for it. I don't know why, and I don't know how to play it going forward. Really.
Do you think like some of the pre-release battle kits or whatever they're called, like where you can kind of get it in like a sealed thing, and it's like I think there's I'm not is it like 12 or 16 in there or something like that? What do you think about those?
What are we talking about? Like the build
For
and
the
battle?
Yeah, they're like the let's see if I have one. They're not the boost. They're not the bundles. They're the ones that have like the pre-release
Yeah,
cards in it.
yeah. The build and battle kits.
Yeah, because you can pick up a lot of those for just pretty much pack like the price of a pack, and then you get like that promo card for pretty much free.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think that's something that you could sit on, or do you think just booster boxes is the way to go?
I still do. I mean, I actually was sitting on some of that stuff, and I actually opened it up recently. Like my last box break, I opened up a bunch of my Fates Collide pre-release kits. And they come with 4 packs, and they come with the sealed deck with the promo card. And if you pull the Moltres promo card, it's actually worth a little bit, but it's just like it doesn't seem like it has the sealed premium that over what like a booster box does. And you don't really see it in the tins. You don't see it in like boxes. It's just, a lot of these other products are basically valued on whatever the packs go for. And then if there's a promo card, whatever value that has, like you don't see a lot of premium on the actual sealed, factor of the item. Whereas like booster boxes, it's just, they get scarce and people value them sealed. And then it gets even crazier. People will overpay for a sealed case because they'll put value on the actual sealed case over just 6 individual sealed boxes. So it's like, for some reason with regular sets and booster boxes and cases, people just they put value on it, whereas some of these other things they just don't.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting because, I mean, the booster boxes display decently, but if you're trying to display things, the ETBs is definitely the way to go. But
yeah,
they're just also bigger. Like they're almost they're at least double the size of a booster box and not even half the value. So it's just like, then you have to weigh those things out too. If you're going to sell it, it's like, do you want to sell something that you're going to take $20 fees and, you're only going to make, $10, from what you bought it from. And it's just a headache if you're trying to deal with ETBs. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Pokemon Center exclusive ones is probably the way to go with the ETBs. Those, I mean, let's be honest, they're outperforming, I would say, like the Scarlet Violet era stuff. I mean, because it's real early, but Scarlet Violet boxes are way down. The PC ETBs, they have that market price, then usually they sell for a little more in the open market. And then Sword and Shield, a lot of them did very well. They don't outperform the booster boxes, but they outperform a lot of the other products. So it's like, I think if you want that better display and you just want that more collection based thing, I think the PC ETBs are good options.
Yeah, I can see that. They definitely, I mean, hold value. I don't necessarily see it just because I mean, I'm not necessarily, I don't know. I just don't see it as the investment play. Just for me, it's like the card on the inside. It has a little stamp on it. Big deal. It is. That's just
Yeah.
kind of how I look at it. But
Yeah, trust me. Like I don't understand. I don't agree with a lot of the things that happen in this hobby, but you just kind of have to roll with it. It's like, well, that's what the people want. It's like it's kind of like the felt hat Pikachu thing. Like I don't get it, but that's what the people want, and so that's why it was $100 and something for the longest time. Like you just have to roll with it.
yeah, that card, I don't get it either. I didn't even like. It's not a card that stands out. It doesn't hit. It's not like it's a great art. It's just a very basic card. It reminds me of just like a V card, honestly.
I mean, we had a discussion in my Discord about it, but I mean, and a lot of people like it. A lot of people said no, it would do great in a set. But I was kind of saying if that card was in a set as like a trainer gallery or illustration, it probably wouldn't even be one of the top hits. Like you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of an average card.
Yeah, I think so too. It's pretty basic. I actually have kind of a different opinion on a lot of things. Is that people don't necessarily like the full art cards, and I actually really do like full art cards. I think for me, it's like they kind of just they display nice. They look. It depends on obviously the card. I like the early EX full art cards; those are really nice, and some of the like the Sword and Shield. Like I like the Charizard, the GX card, and the V Charizards. I think those 5-band graphics, in my opinion, are a little bit underrated. I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that a hot take or?
I mean, I've always liked the full art like trainer since the beginning. Even before it was like a waifu thing. Like I just liked all the trainers, like the girls, the guys, all of them. I always thought they were better looking than the rainbows, and I think the full art cards are better looking than the rainbows as well, or the gold cards. It's the better looking card. It's more colors, there's more going on. I think it just has to do with the rarity. I think since they're not as rare, They don't have as much value, and because of that, people don't chase after them. I really think that's all it is. I mean, no, I'm with you. I think they're good looking cards for sure.
Yeah. Um, I don't necessarily want to talk too much of anything about drama or nothing like that, but I guess if just I'm just gonna bring it up a little bit here is I actually found you off quote unquote drama. I remember
That doesn't surprise me.
probably almost 2 years ago. I remember like Jake Pokenomics chat, and you guys kind of were going back and forth with things, and he kind of had his stance on vintage, and he was kind of in a way kind of like trying to shut you out in a little bit and saying modern isn't blah 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 whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, who is this guy? And I never heard of you, and I kind of tuned into your channel, and then kind of been ever since then. And then kind of like, okay, you kind of been back in the mix a little bit, and I enjoy a lot of things you talk about. And early on, it's like nobody was talking about modern other than people that were really shilling it. And not to really bring up names, but I'm going to throw a name out there anyway. Is Pokenav. That people like him were saying these things were just going to keep going and going and going. And I think that's kind of what put a little bad taste in maybe people's mouths when you kind of came about, and like they didn't necessarily want to quote unquote listen to what you were saying because a lot of these people were just shilling things. So I don't know, that's just kind of like, I guess, a way that maybe people were trying to shut you out in a way, but also too, I didn't necessarily agree with it. So I'm glad that you continue to do your own thing, and you know, you stuck it to the cabal, you could say.
No, I appreciate it, man. No, like, yeah, that is a fair take, though. I mean, I think there was a lot of shilling going on, and that was kind of like it's weird because since you've been around a while, like a lot of people that are newer to this, they're coming into a time where like modern has now been accepted, and it's part of the investment portfolios of people, and it's just they don't understand that 2, 3, 4 years ago it was not. Like, it was seen as like kind of like the entry level drug type thing. It's fun. All your favorite YouTubers you'll see open the packs. You can open the packs, but then if you ever want to get serious about this hobby and put some real money into it, well, you have to move back to this older, rare, mint or better vintage stuff. And that was just the whole thing. I wanted to kind of get out of that mindset and that whole like zone of like, hey, that's cool, but this stuff isn't just let's all have fun, it's for the kids type thing. Like, this is investable too. And so it is nice to see it's finally worked its way to where it's like an accepted part of the whole investing community type thing. And that was the whole goal from the very beginning, is to have modern stand on its own 2 feet and not kind of shot down as just like this brain dead stupid play, and just it's a pump game or whatever, all that good stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, the things you're saying and you were saying, it makes sense. Like, once these quote unquote new products, modern products, go out of print in a year or whatever, and it's like some of them are going to go up in value. Obviously, maybe not all of them, but the good ones will. And it's just like, if you have knowledge and you can kind of use your own opinion in a way and kind of say, okay, this is what's going to be good. Maybe I should invest in this, or okay, this is kind of a stinker set. I probably shouldn't put any money in this. And that just kind of comes with being in the hobby.
Yeah, it's the same with anything, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're investing in vintage and modern, in slabs, singles, or sealed. It's like, however much risk you want to put into it is how much you're going to get out. Like, so if you're trying to like be a set picker or a singles or a slab picker, you're going to have higher highs, you're going to have lower lows. If you're more like diversifying and like buying one of every box, or when sets come out, you're buying like all 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top hits in every set. Like, well, you're going to have a lot more steady, average gains than people who are just trying to cherry pick things. But hey, sometimes people that are cherry picking things, they have enough knowledge and they have a good enough kind of feel for the market, they can end up doing a lot better. So it's just really all about how you want to play it.
So can I ask, you said in a couple of videos ago that you're not selling any of your Sword and Shield products. So have you sold, obviously I'm assuming you sold some previously leading up to this point, or how has that been?
Yeah, I mean, I sold everything before, I guess, Shining Fates. So like I don't have any base Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, or Vivid Voltage. I just have one box of each of those. So I sold out of that. And then like I'll have random sales. Like I just sold a box of Evolving Skies, or like I'll use, just because like the deal's good, or I got it cheap, or I'll use some boxes for like trade deals and things like that. But no, it's like far as like moving any in like my large positions, I'm not selling any large amount of boxes or any cases right now. But other than that, like everything else I had was sold in 2020, or 2021, like that time. Like all my XY, all my Sun and Moon, gone. I have none of it. Which, I mean, it sucks, but like, I still feel like it was the right decision, a lot of the boxes are actually higher than when I sold them at, but having that money for the past, 3-4 years, the things I've done with it still made sense in my mind.
So, I guess then what is your inventory looking like that you're selling nowadays, that you are full time?
It's just single slabs. I do have obviously packs for the pack breaks. So I do keep a lot, pretty much. I pick pretty much every Sword and Shield Alt Art set. I've got all the specialty sets. Like I have Celebrations and Shining Fates and Kron Zenith, Paldean Fates 151. So I have all the Scarlet Violet booster box sets. So like that's all kind of my inventory for the pack breaks. And then just singles and slabs for grading. I've been kind of dabbling in some of the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but it's mostly still just Pokemon. Mostly modern. I do have some like first edition base I had left over from like just permanent my own collection that I've been selling. It's really just XY, Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, Scarlet Violet era stuff.
Okay. So what's your you said first edition, but what's your oldest quote unquote investment then that you're, I guess, holding or sitting on?
Probably these. I mean, I wouldn't even call them investments. I mean, the games are the oldest thing I've had. Like, when I first got in the hobby, my first purchase ever was, base Jungle Fossil sets. And then from there I bought, actually here, that right there. This was like one of my first purchases ever, like back in like 2015.
Is that
that right there is probably the thing I've been holding the longest, and it's probably been the worst investment.
Is that the Machamp or is that the Japanese?
No, it's the Machamp. It's the English one. And it's not, I had the Shadowless one. I sold that. I just kept the Unlimited just for collection purposes. Like I said, it's not really an investment, but that's probably the product that I still own that I've had the longest.
Yeah, that I remember having that as a kid. A lot of people don't know either, is that the Machamp hollows are different. There's some that have Cosmos, and then the some that have the star or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Galaxy.
you can get lucky.
Yeah, I actually I can't remember which ones come from which, but I actually acquired some of my old cousin's cards, and I had one that was Cosmos, and then he had the one that was Galaxy foiled, and then as I was, got back into the hobby, I was just re-looking at my cards, and I'm like, oh wait, these are different, and I just kind of just put two and two together, and then I Googled it and kind of figured it out from there. So.
Yeah, it is funny. Like, looking back, I remember as a kid, like seeing, I know I had Shadowless cards because I remember like the cards looking different. Like, oh, this one's shaded a different green, or this one's shaded a different blue. Like, I want that one. And you didn't know idea what you were looking at back then. But it's like after you got back in the hobby and learned about Shadowless and all that, you start looking back and you're like, oh, that's what that was. That's why some of the cards looked different and some of the packs were different. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, like when I was because I didn't have too many cards as a kid, but I acquired some of like one of my cousin's cards, and so I had his and mine, and I kind of made sure to keep them separate. And I remember when I was piecing together like base set through Neo, I'm working on just the hollows, and I had a Clefairy, and it didn't have a symbol on it, so I was like, oh, this is base set. And then I was going through and looking up cards to fill out my binder, and I'm like, wait, this isn't base set. And I was like, oh, this is no symbol. And I had a no symbol card from when I was a kid, and I didn't even know. So it was
really
kind of cool to have. Yeah.
What card was it?
The Clefable.
Oh, the Clefable. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, from Jungle. Did I say Clefairy?
Clefairy. Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah,
I was like, what? I've never
Clefairy.
heard of that. Yeah, it's cool, man.
So, do you do any like local vending at all, or are you strictly all online, or?
Yeah, I have not vended yet. Everyone always wants me to that I talk to, so I might try to vend at one of the collecticons this year. It's just,
Yeah.
man, I just can't. I'm gonna do it, like, just to say I did it. It's just I can't make it make sense in my mind, like, because all I'm thinking about is, most people at conventions, they want deals, right? So you're already gonna give them a deal off of your full price you would get on eBay or something. And yeah, that makes up for not having to pay fees and stuff. But, you're paying for the tables, you're paying for travel, you're paying for hotel and food while you're there. You're working, like you start working before you even get there. You got to start pricing cards and getting all your displays ready and your binders ready or whatever you're going to have. You got to stand there at the table and vend for 8, 10, whatever hours both days. And so it's a lot of work that goes in. And, I'm just not sure how much extra money you're making than you would have just made selling them, over time on eBay or yourself. So, but everyone keeps telling me I need to try it out. So I'm going to try it out, and I'll give you a better take in the future on that.
Okay, so are you gonna jump right into Collecticon then, or
Yeah, I'll probably do a collecticon.
All right. Yeah, I know you. I remember you went to one, and you were kind of talking about all those hidden fees and stuff like that, and a lot of people they don't talk about it. They only ever say is, oh yeah, we quote unquote printed, and it's just like, well, you quote unquote printed, but then you spent a couple $1,000s just on your travel, and then what if you would have just stayed at home and sold those cards over the gradual month and whatever? But
Here's the thing,
you're paying for the experience.
yeah, I mean, you're partly helping to pay for, I guess, a mini vacation and to have the experience with your friends, and I mean that's part of it. And so it's like not everything's monetary, but that is one of like the things that I guess maybe getting caught up in drama. Like it's because I see these things and no one else calls them out. But like, let's be honest, like some people, they're just not very financially savvy and they don't it doesn't click to them. Other people, they know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to show big flashy numbers by saying sales or revenue, but they don't want to talk about all the things that go into that. So like, I just think, it's easy to talk about the big sales numbers you did or how you printed or how you sold this and that. But like, no one ever talks about like, well, okay, well, what was your product cost to buy all those things that you sold? Okay, now subtract the tables cost. Now subtract the case cost. Now subtract the travel. Now the hotel. Now all the meals you had when you were there. Now take all that money and say, well, what if I would have just threw it all on eBay? How much would it have sold for then? Now take into account you spent 8, 10, 12 hours of each day vending there. So now what is, 8, 10, 12 hours? So 16 to 24 hours of your time worth. Like how much do you make at your job or doing other things? And it's like when you really start doing all the numbers in your head, it doesn't make sense for a lot of people to vend,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, you can't, ask these people that are, on YouTube and things like that to show their numbers and get in depth like that. Cause that's unreasonable to ask these people to do that kinds of things. But, like you're saying, it all eats into everything. What did you buy your product at? Then what did you sell it at? Okay, you made 20% margin. Well, then, you're paying for the flight, and then you're doing this and you're doing that. You're going out to eat. And so, yeah, it all eats into everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think on average, like, and, sealed sellers, like who only do sealed, they might have different margins than people who do both or just do like singles and slabs. But I mean, I think on average in this business, like, I'm talking like after everything, not just cost of inventory, but like just all business expenses, shipping costs and shipping materials and just anything else you use for your business. I mean, I think most people are probably only making that 15 to 25% profit margins after everything's said and done. So like, when you hear those sales numbers, when you hear someone say, well, I did 400 grand in sales last year, it's like, okay, they maybe made, 60, 80, maybe 90 grand, something like that. That's realistically what they're making.
Yeah. So, Cornell's Brickhouse is asking, what are your thoughts on Legos?
Man, I don't have any. I mean, here's my thing. I'm equal opportunity. Any way you can find to have a hustle or make money investing, make money flipping, or have fun collecting something and it also appreciates in value, I'm for it. So I'm not in on Legos, but I'm happy for everyone that's doing good in Lego. What about you?
Yeah, I don't have any Lego other than the stuff that I had as a kid. I have some like what is it, a Millennium Falcon, and things like that. And I have some of my old
Well, that might be
Bionicle.
worth
And
something.
it is actually. I think I looked it up. It was like 220 or somewhere in that range. It's pretty expensive Lego, that's for sure. Because they remade it. I think there's like three remakes of that Millennium Falcon, and I think this is the oldest one, so it's the more valuable of the ones. And then I have some of my old Bionicle and things like that. I really do like Bionicle. I feel like if I would invest in anything, quote unquote Lego, it'd be something like that, or something like a Star Wars Lego, or something that has like an IP behind it, rather than just like these basic like Treehouse or the
Yeah.
constructions or things like that. Those I wouldn't necessarily consider or see that as an investment, but if I was to invest in Lego, it'd be like maybe a Harry Potter, or the Star Wars or something like that. So
Yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting. I just don't know enough about it to start putting any large amount of money into it. But if it's, I mean, it's kind of the same type of thing ish, right? Like people are going to want to go back and build those things, or get a mint copy of the things they remember from earlier in life. So I mean, I get it. I get the thought process behind it. I still like Pokemon being the biggest IP and just how popular it is, though.
yeah, and the thing with me, in my opinion on Pokemon, is that like Pokemon has always been collectors, and like yeah, sure, when the game came out, people played the game, but more kids back in the day, they didn't even know how to play the game. They wanted to collect the cards because they liked the cards, and sure, yeah, they played it, and it is a game to be played, but it's always been a collector's game in my opinion, and I don't know if Lego has really been that. So
Yeah, no, Pokemon's definitely dominated by collectors. Like that's why grading's such a huge thing. You don't see grading like that in Magic, or anything like that. It's because it's just such a high collector hobby.
yeah, which is kind of interesting too, is that I mean, none of these other kind of like card games are really integrating. Like Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of picked up a lot, but like you said before, Magic the Gathering, it's not really, people don't really want it graded.
Yeah, it's true.
Uh, oh yeah, definitely for sure. Appreciate you being here, Coronado's Brickhouse. Um, I guess so now that you're full time, what do you like, what's your, I guess, daily schedule? Do you kind of like to do, you said check your emails and do that and shipping in the morning and stuff. You try to get it done right away in the morning, that way you're not dwelling on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I really honestly, I don't have a normal daily routine right now. Like right now, I am just I'm trying out a lot of different things. I'm trying to find out exactly what I like, to do the most, what's sustainable. I'm throwing a lot of darts at the board right now and seeing which ones stick the most. And then I'm going to try to build, the business around, those areas, which, I think are, a bunch of different reasons, right? Like obviously they're profitable, but also that, are fun for me that I don't not enjoy, because if I'm just going to get into this and do something I don't enjoy, well, why not just go work a job? And, I'm saying it doesn't make sense. So just trying to find things that are profitable that I actually enjoy doing, and keep enough different things going on to where I'm not stuck just like doing one thing every day, and it gets old and tiring. But as far as like schedule, like, yeah, I think that's probably the only consistent thing that I do is when I get up in the morning, I have my coffee, I sit down, and I immediately go and I pack the orders and get all the orders done in the morning. And then from there, it's always different. Like if I don't have a video that day, I'll try to film a video, or I'll set up a live. If whatever else I've gone, if I still have things over there I need to like get sorted and list and things like that, I'll do that. If I don't have a lot going on, I can look for cars to source. Every day is just different. Like I couldn't even tell you like what a normal day looks like, because I haven't had a normal day like since this year started. So It's just kind of running around like a madman right now.
Yeah. So the question here is, then do you have distribution? Do you get new product? I'm assuming.
I don't, but I'm set up with Pokemart USA, in a program he has going on, and so yeah, I do get things at distribution pricing, but I'm not set up myself. I don't have a store set up with any distributor.
Is that through like his Patreon? I think.
Yeah, he has a Patreon program for it. Me and him have a unique deal set up for it, but yeah, I mean, I think you can get in. I think it's like 95 a month or something, and it's not like guys not trying to shill Pokemart's program,
No,
but
you're good.
it's not like Rudy's, Alpha Investments. It's not like some of the other ones. It's like legitimate his prices. So like you get access to his entire distribution list, what the distributor has, and you can go through and buy anything at the exact cost, and all you get charged is whatever it costs to ship it to you. And so, it's a high monthly fee, but you actually do get access to exactly what he pays at this. And he's got a pretty big account, so he does have some pretty good distribution prices. But yeah, it's a good program, and you usually get the product, either a little early or you're right on time type thing.
Yeah. So you're pretty much just paying for his Patreon to get his product in a way. So.
Yeah, if you're ordering enough product, or you're trying to mass open and be sealed right at the beginning and try to make those first to market plays, or if maybe you have a store and you can sell to your customers at a higher price, and so you can just kind of, and he's got a cool thing set up too where you can have it shipped directly to your customers. So like if you have sales that you make, you can actually have them ship it directly to them, where it doesn't have to come to you and you ship it out, which saves you shipping costs. So like there's definitely plays you can make if you're trying to set up, some sort of like selling sealed business. But like I said, it only really makes sense if you're doing large enough volume. Like if you're buying a box or a case, a set, it's not going to be worth the money. But if you're trying to get into it more seriously, you can definitely find your value there.
I guess, what is there like a limit on product that you're able to pick up from him, or
Unless the distributor puts a limit on there, like it'll say like if he gets a limit set to it, he'll put like a limit of whatever limit of 6 cases or whatever. So sometimes there's limits on items, like 151 there was limits, but like Paldean Fates there was no limits. Even Temporal Forces right now, like they're it's supposed to be like shorter printed, but there's still no limits put on those right now. And so most of the time there's no limits.
okay? So
I haven't spent enough to test it out. Like I haven't ordered 100 cases myself or anything, but I've definitely put in some 10 plus case orders and no issues.
okay. So essentially, you're putting the order in, and then he's essentially buying it from his distributor.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly how he works it. If it's like a certain day or a couple days a week where he puts in the orders. But yeah, you just anytime you want, you just send in an order, and then I guess when he gets enough from, or when maybe it's a certain day. I haven't really asked him about how he handles that. But then yeah, he puts in the order from the distributor, it gets in, and then you get charged whatever it costs to ship it to you.
Does the distributor then? Are you getting the product from the distributor, or
no, from him? So everything gets shipped to his store.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually a great business strategy. I mean, he's making money through Patreon, and then obviously then the people that are profiting off getting good deals on it, because you're able to, if you're able to get a product and then sell it the next day and make $5-10 on that product, that's a win.
Yeah, I mean, he's got hustlers in that program that do really well. I mean, that they have a lot of local sales they set up, and they're able to flip enough sealed product to actually make it profitable to be in that program and still make money. And like I said, it's all about just how much volume you're wanting to do. It's definitely not for people who are just buying a little bit of stuff. The $95 a month fee will just eat you alive. But if you're really trying to do it seriously, like it just makes sense. And then like people that want to get in like the singles game and the bulk game, like with Magic, they make those commander decks, and a lot of times there's a lot of profit to be made if you break them down and sell singles on TCG Player. A lot of people will take advantage of those plays whenever the distributors have like these sales or these deals, and there's just a lot of different avenues to go about it. But yeah, I mean, speaking to like the business model, it's like in this day and age where Pokemon continues to crack down on people selling their product It's extremely hard still to get a distributor if you don't have a brick and mortar. I mean, it's valuable to have that distribution, and that's kind of what it is charging to have access to that distribution because you just can't get it yourself.
Yeah, I actually I don't know how true it is, but I actually heard that it's actually gotten easier to get distribution if you don't have a brick and mortar. Recently, I don't know if there's any truth to that or not because I haven't tried and I don't know personally, but that's just what I've heard on the YouTube atmosphere, I guess you can say. But I don't know if there's any truth to that or not.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I'd be nice if it started to loosen up, but I guess we'll find out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I actually know Cornado's Brick House, and he did have distribution, and yeah, and he was one of the guys that got shafted, and it's like, well, no brick and mortar, no distribution anymore. So
Pokey Department Store in the chat. What do you mean, not a Patreon anymore? Come on, NN. What do you mean? I didn't say I wasn't in the. I'm in the Patreon. Come on, man.
So yeah, he also asked, do you have any plans on getting your own distribution if you're able to? Have you tried or?
I haven't
If
tried.
it's okay.
Um, like I said, I'm still trying to find my footing on exactly all the different paths I want to take in the hobby right now, and trying to find out exactly what works for me and what I'm going to have the most fun and enjoyment doing. Because, like I said before, like some of the business models that people have in this hobby, and they're successful with it, it doesn't excite me. And even if I can make a living doing that, I just don't want to. Like, I don't want to get up and ship out, 100 orders every day and just, constantly find just my whole business is just buying collections and cards and shipping. And that's my whole, like, that just doesn't sound fun. Like, I want content to be a part of it. I want there to be a bunch of different kind of, arms of the business where I'm like always doing something different to keep me excited. Cause otherwise, like, I'll just go back and get a regular job, And so, I haven't decided if like that's a route I want to go with, getting a brick and mortar and running a card shop, or even just, trying to figure out a way to get distribution and run like a, moving a lot of sealed. I'm just, like I said, I'm kind of still in the learning phase of where I want to be in the hobby.
Okay. Yeah. I know you like to, I guess you can say, hit the punching bag and stuff like that. So, do you like to, I guess, work out on the daily basis, or what kind of keeps you sane on your daily basis now that you kind of are full time and maybe you're kind of stuck in the house a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely work out every morning, except like usually Sundays. Um, I have a gym partner, a friend of mine. We've been friends forever, so we work out in the mornings. And then I've always kind of stayed in, mixed martial arts because I used to fight back in the day, and I've always just kind of stayed around it, in and out, in and out. But this new year, I've really been taking it seriously again. I'm making sure to train a few times a week, really getting back into shape. So I may even start competing in jiu-jitsu again, or I don't know if I'll have like another actual fight again. But I'm enjoying being able to get in shape and help like the other fighters train for their fights they have coming up and stuff. So and that's usually at night. So it kind of gets me out of the house in the morning, and then a few nights a week it gets me out of the house there. So that helps. That helps a lot, especially when you're sitting down a lot of the time, like doing content and looking for cards and doing orders and dealing with this, dealing with that. It's nice to get out and be able to move around because you'll get stiff and you'll get groggy, and it's, doing too much of that for too long. It'll get you down.
So do you like doing jujitsu? You said?
Yeah. I mean, it's
Is
honestly like it's the best part of the fighting because you don't really get hurt doing it. Like you can, I'm not saying you can't, but you're not getting punched in the face. You're not when you're full out sparring, you're fighting, a lot of weird injuries can happen and stuff. And, as long as you're rolling with people who know what they're doing, you really don't get hurt too much doing jujitsu.
what would you say to an adult that wanted to start jujitsu?
Man, it's honestly, it's some of the most fun and best exercises you'll ever get in your life. Like, when you do jiu-jitsu, your entire body, like especially in those first workouts, will be sore. Like everything from your toes to your fingers. It works your entire body, but you don't even know you're getting a workout because you're having fun. it's like a mental chess match, right? Like, you know, obviously, like you see movies of fights, and it's like two like beefed up guys all pissed off at each other, wanting to, you know, beat the hell out of each other. But it's really more of like a mental chess match. It's more of you just trying to figure out like where to get in on someone, how to pull off the moves you want, how to protect yourself from them pulling the moves on you. So it's really a lot of fun. It's just like any other sport. You're just trying to win. And so, yeah, man, I mean, as long as you get in with good people who they're, you know, they're all there for the sport of it and to have fun, and no one like hates each other and is trying to kill each other, I think it's a blast.
Do you think it's worth for somebody that has no idea what they're doing to go in there and get beat up by 10-year vets? Or
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no. So jujitsu isn't fighting, right? Like with fighting, you know, learning to fight is one of the hardest things to do in the world, because you are going to get, you know, you're going to get punched in the face a million times. You're going to get kicked in the side and the, you know, the liver, and you're going to take tons of leg kicks, and your legs are going to be sore, and, you know, your hands are going to be sore. You're going to be learning to punch, and you're going to punch wrong. And you know, some people break their hands or hurt their fingers, and you know, it's so much more brutal learning to fight than learning jujitsu. You're just going to be sore, right? I mean, you're going to be sore. Your neck will get sore in the beginning when because, you know, learning how to do all the techniques and stuff, but you're not going to get hurt usually. Right? Like I said, unless you're rolling against some idiot who's, you know, ripping the moves too hard and stuff, which those people usually get weeded out, and they get, you know, kind of pushed out of gyms anyway. You know, as long as people aren't being idiots, you're not going to get hurt doing jiu-jitsu most of the time. You know, it's really more of a workout.
yeah, I think with that is like, you know, you get somebody that's got an ego, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna, you know,
Yeah.
show this person or whatever. Like, yeah, I
And
can
what's
see
funny
that.
is you find out who those people are really quick, and you just don't roll with them. You know, you just don't do it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I listen to Joe Rogan and stuff like that, and he always talks about jujitsu, and I always thought about doing it. I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm an adult now, and it's just like, did I miss my boat, or, you know, things like that. So
No, man, I'd recommend it. Like I said, fight. Here's the thing, jiu-jitsu, man. You'll have people from every walks of life doing that. Like, you'll have people that are, you know, wanting to become fighters, learning it. You'll have people who are, you know, I mean, Fortune 500 CEO, like Mark Zuckerberg, like does jujitsu. It's like you'll have every walk of life, you know, doing it. Most of the people are there for the sport of it, to stay in shape. Some want to do competitions. Other people just need that exercise, and it's a way to get a great exercise without like having to go to the gym and sit there and do a million reps of weights. It's a fun way to exercise, and you're not going to get hurt like you are trying to learn how to fight. So, yeah.
yeah, well, that might be something I'll look into, because that's been something I've been thinking about. I'm just kind of like I'm not scared to jump into it, but like it definitely helps if you have somebody in there that you know, or somebody that, you know, is willing to do it with you or something like that. Because I like working out, I like being active every day, and, you know, doing something different. You know, I never really trained fighting or anything like that. I wrestled a little bit, but you know, nothing too crazy. You know, I kind of want to, you know, punch the punching bag and, you know, kick the bag and things like that. It's just different. I've been wanting to do that. I haven't taken that step yet. So.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, depending on the gym you go to, like if it is a full MMA gym, a lot of times it's just one fee and you get everything. So you can do like any of the classes. So it's like, yeah, you can do the jiu-jitsu classes, but if you don't want to fight, that's fine. You can still go in and work on the bags and work on, you know, whatever you want. So it's, I mean, I'm sure there's probably gyms like that around you as well.
Yeah, there is. I know there's a couple actually jiu-jitsu gyms. I'm not too sure who if he's just using the name or whatever, but it was some Gracie gym
Yeah.
around here. But yeah, that's something that I was interested in, and I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about that, because I know that's something that you enjoy as well. So
Yeah, I mean, I recommend jiu-jitsu to everybody. I recommend fighting to nobody. Like fighting, man. Like my dad, he's one of the trainers. He trains, you know, tons of the fighters. Like, you know, we've put fighters in Bellator and UFC and other organizations that are in, you know, some overseas. And so, you know, fighting is just such a hard life, man. Like a lot of the guys, you know, it's just, because you're spending most of your time trying to fight, a lot of times it's hard to keep like a steady full-time job, or a lot of times you're kind of doing odd jobs just trying to make it. You're always having to deal with being hurt and injuries and things. You're not making any money until you make it some of the bigger cards. And then when you make it to those bigger cards, you really got to perform, because you only usually get like, 2 or 3 fight deals. And if you don't perform in those deals, you're going to lose it. And you're going to get dropped right back out. And now you're not getting paid anymore. And so it's a hard life. Like I said, you go through a lot of abuse just learning how to fight. And none of that's true for jiu-jitsu. It's literally just a sport, like you'd show up and play like, pickup hockey or like a pickup soccer game. It's just a little more physical. But it's definitely more of, a sport. No one's trying to kill each other. Like I said, a lot of the people that do it are, just people who have regular jobs and just want to stay in shape. Whereas like the fighters, they're trying to make a life behind it. They're out for blood. They're, kind of, this is my only plan. I got no plan B type thing. And so, no, jiu-jitsu for everybody fighting. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, that's good. Because I know, one of the, like, I guess you can say one of the best like jiu-jitsu. I don't know if do jiu-jitsu. Do you call them jiu-jitsu fighters, or what would you?
No, I mean, I guess just practitioners. I guess I don't know. That's a good question. I don't really know.
Do you know who Mikey Musumeci is?
I don't follow the jiu-jitsu game very closely, but who's that?
He's one of the like top guys, but apparently he eats like pizza almost every day, and like he's a big advocate on intermediate fasting and only eating one meal a day. So he'll train all day long, and then he'll go home, and he enjoys making his own like wood fire pizza and things like that. So it's kind of,
I mean, you burn the amount of calories you burn, and like the kind of shape, especially if you're rolling almost every day, you can literally eat anything you want. It's just you're not going to keep any weight on.
Yeah. Well, we've been going for a little while. I want to be respectful of your time. You want to dip up out of here, you can. We can keep going for a little bit. Anything that you want to say?
Yeah, I'm good, man. If you got anything else you want to discuss, I'm here for it.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we can keep going. I guess I just mentioned it, and we can breeze by it, or we can talk about it, or whatever. But what do you think, or have you heard anything about like Rattle Pokemon being sued?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Like, do you think that's like toxic for the hobby? Do you think that it's kind of like he kind of had it coming, or what do you kind of? I don't necessarily want to ask you, like, don't want to bring you into anything that
No,
you don't want to talk about, or anything like that.
No, I just want to choose my words carefully, because here's the thing. I mean, it's not that like I hate Rattle, right? I just think it happens with every single content creator, me included, right? Is one way or another, we kind of get focused too much in one area, almost like put ourselves in our own box. And you're kind of stuck making the content that your channel was based off of and what the algorithm pushes. And you kind of notice when you go outside of that algorithm, you stop, YouTube doesn't do well for some reason. So you go back to making your same stuff you used to, and boom, you're doing well again. It kind of keeps you forced to, like, not really forced to, but if you want to keep the same growth and views and stuff, to do similar content. And I think kind of what happened with Rattle is, and he may not feel this way. It's just, again, just an onlooker looking in, my own opinion, is it seems as if, he really got famous, for, the whole Logan Paul seal case thing, and some of the Blake's breaks and some of the other things he's called out and got correct. But now it's almost like he's built his whole content around it just has to be about a scam or a thief or, something like that. And so here's the thing about Pokemon. It's hard to find content every single day, day in and day out, of, absolute proof that these things are happening. And so I think what happens a lot of time is it's really just circumstantial evidence, or like, reasonable doubt type stuff. And like, trying to like show like, show different clips or pictures or messages and draw conclusions from that, even though there's no real concrete evidence. And when you do that, you're kind of opening yourself up to things that, especially if you're not, making sure to say this is your opinion or it looks this way, and you're really making more concrete statements, and you can really get in trouble. And so I think what happened with the lawsuit right now is free speech is a thing, but you have to walk that line before it becomes like defaming someone's character, especially if they're running some sort of business where there's they're making a certain amount of money, and then the things said might hurt that business and the amount of money they're making, and there can be damages, and it gives a lot of gray areas there when it comes to free speech, and then where it crosses that line into defaming character or libel or all that type stuff. And so I think that's kind of what's going on there, and people on each side of it have very strong opinions one way or the other. My strong opinion is I just don't like anyone getting attacked personally. People, I've probably crossed the line a couple times and made it more personal than I should have in the past, but I've usually always tried to keep it about the task at hand, right? Like whatever the conversation is surrounded about, whether it be, vintage and modern, whether it be, Pokemon investing. Like I always try to focus on the actual, words instead of like going after a person. And so like, I that's one thing is like, I think going after people any way, shape or form is also opens you up to issues too. So that's kind of my whole thing. It's not like I have super strong opinions on it. It's just, I'm just not about attacking people,
Yeah, I think once you start getting personal and it just, you're not really arguing about like the points. It's just like you're more arguing with each other, and you don't even really know these people. Like, so it's like you quote unquote don't like these people that you don't even know. So it's just, and the thing with Rattle, it's like in a way he kind of like he does good for the hobby, but then in a way too, it's like he also milks it too. So it's like you don't need to make 20, 30 videos on the same thing. It's like, yeah, you got your point out, and it's like it's good to know like the point, and it's good to know these things, but it's just like at a certain point it's just like you're kind of like not attacking this person, but in a way like you're only after this person, so it's kind of can seem like you are attacking that person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like I said, when your channel's about that, like it's hard to constantly find content, every day about another cheat or thief or scam or something going on out there, right? So it's like, what else do you have to do? Well, I guess I'll go make more content about someone I did find that is doing something wrong, because I can't really prove that anyone else is really concretely doing something wrong anywhere else. So I guess I'll go make a part 7. I mean, I get it. Like I get it. You got to make content. It's your job, but it's like, I think we all need to find ways out of that like box we've all put ourselves in, like, I mean, me included. It's just hard. It's hard.
Yeah, it's like you can only have so much drama that you can dig up, and it's just there's the people like that in the sports card hobby, and like I'm not, obviously I don't have a face or a name in YouTube. I'm kind of more of a listener and watcher and things like that. But there's a podcast that I listen to. It's called Between Two Slabs, and there's a guy called The Great Curator on there, and he gets a lot of hate from the sports card market, and like a lot of channels kind of like attack him, like Sports Card Radio, for instance. And it's like these channels are every video it's some kind of new drama. So it's just like I don't understand how somebody can find enjoyment out of always finding drama. It's just like, people should be making YouTube videos. I assume you enjoy the things that you do. And it's like, do people really enjoy always bashing somebody? Like, I don't know.
Well, and here's the problem. Like you can't, and this is why I don't even fight back, is because it is kind of what the majority of people want. Like they just, I think a lot of people get home from work and they have their same routines, and they just want to, whatever they do, they sit back and they put on the same they want to hear it, right? And the reason I know they want to hear it is because you can see those kind of channels, the growth they've had, and the amount of views they get. And so it's like if someone like me or someone smaller or it doesn't get as many views or growth calls them out and says this is wrong, it's like oh, you're just angry because you're not as big as me. You're not growing as much because you're not getting the views as much. You're just angry at that. It's like, okay, you could say that, but the reality is it's like, it's not always about getting the most views and growth if you're doing it the wrong way. And so it's, I, I just think there's a fine line between growing and, building an audience and getting views and, doing things that are actually helpful to people,
Yeah, yep, I agree 100%. Like kind of what I was saying a little bit earlier, it's like it's good to get this knowledge out, and it's good to know that Blake was ripping people off, and it's good to know that some of these people are wiping off signatures or whatever he
Yeah.
brings up and things like that. It's good to know these things, but then it's just like you don't need to make a whole series on it. It's just like it gets annoying. I shouldn't say annoying because I don't watch it, so
Yeah.
that's I shouldn't say it gets annoying because I just don't engage with it. So
It's like anything in life. I mean, it's not just that. It's like anything. It's like there's a lot of things where it's like a person or a company or anything that they like do good things, but in between, it's like so much like other fluff and BS and bad stuff that it's like, well, you're kind of drowning out the good things you've done. It's like just do the good thing, take credit for it, move on, do some regular stuff. When something else is blatant and you see it and you find it and you investigate it, do that. Like that's what we need. But like don't try to put filler stuff in there just to make content or cause doubt or try to take people down that you don't like or whatever it may be. It's just not the way to go about it.
yeah, I think that's just the only problem with being, a full-time YouTuber is that you always have to consistently, keep making something new. So,
Hey, I'm just as guilty. Like I was definitely 100% falling down that route. Like there was a little bit there on my channel where it was really getting there was a lot of videos that were drama filled. A lot of it was just based around different drama and different fights with this person and that person. And it was hard. It was hard to like get out of that and stop doing it. So I get it. Like I get how you can fall down into that. I get how it's hard to get out of it. But yeah, I've really making a conscious effort to try to not be one of those people because my channel was definitely getting there for a minute.
yeah, I could agree with that. I could see it. And
Yep.
um, for a while there, you were, definitely telling your audience to, stop asking these questions because I'm not going to answer them, and I don't want to keep answering them because, in a way, it's like every time you're consistently answering the same questions, and it's just like you're repeating yourself, and it's just like you kind of already made your point and your voice known. So why keep going back and forth with it? It's just like
And if
it's
you
just
talk long, I mean, if you're on a live stream and it's like this, it's all just off the cuff. I mean, of course, you're probably going to say something in some kind of wrong way where someone can take it wrong, and it's just going to continue the madness even further because people get sensitive
right.
about stuff, and yeah, it's just not a good idea. And here, it's not good for anyone. Like, okay, yeah, everyone can get their popcorn out at night and watch the show, but it's like it's not good for anyone. It's just more trash. Like, just go turn on some reality TV if you want to just watch trash. Like I just don't want to be a part of that world.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm innocent. I was throwing a little bit of gasoline on those fires. Um,
Everyone was, man. And like I said, I said it earlier. I think it was fun for a minute, right? Like it was fun. Like we were all having. I thought we were having a good time. I think some people took it more serious than others. But it was fun, right? I mean, I would go back and forth with different people, and we were having our debates and stuff. And then, like I said, it got out of hand. Some people got like really upset, really offended, really mad, and then it got kind of played out, and it was too far. It was going on for too long, and I think that's another reason why I was just kind of over it. Like it wasn't fun anymore. It was just, it was the same old stuff repeated again and again. Everyone already had like their sides they already took, and it was just like the same people fighting, hating on this person on their comments and hating on me and my comments. And it's just like, guys, this is not good for anyone. It was fun before. Now it's just not good.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because like it's just in a way, it does kind of help, your views, not necessarily you specifically, but just anybody. It does kind of help your views. It does kind of get people to know who you are. Like I said earlier, that's kind of how I found you and found your channel was through some kind of drama in a way. So it's like, you know, and then I kind of stuck around and, kind of followed your videos, and, I still engage with your chats and things like that. So it's like, in a way, it was kind of good for you, to kind of get your name out there and kind of like see, people see who you are. And it's like, well, this guy's not, a bad person that's trying to, shill things, or, whatever, people were saying about you. And so it's like, it kind of, in a way, it kind of got people to find you, and then, stay engaged, and if you were like the type of person that was shilling all these things, or, trying to gatekeep people, or whatever people were saying about you or whatever. And it's just like, if that really was the case, well, then you would have got weeded out and people would have really saw that. So
Right. 100%. Absolutely.
and it's just like, when you do argue with people online and the internet, it's like they do take it personal. So it is kind of hard to have a debate with somebody because you don't know them. So it's like they do think you're attacking them or whatever. So it's just like people are very sensitive. So
Man, especially with like online, it's like even when you argue with your friends or whatever, it's like, you eventually leave or you hang up the phone or whatever it may be. It's like with this online now, it's 24/7. I mean, you wake up and the Discord arguments are still going, and you log on your YouTube and you're dealing with all those same comments, and you go on a live stream and then it's the same stuff in the chat, and it just wears you down to where it's not the fact that you can't take it and you can't take the heat. It's just so like draining that you're just like, okay, fine, like I give up. I'm wrong about everything. You guys are right. I suck. Can we move on now? Can we just always agree I suck and I'm terrible and move on? It's just like you just get so drained and over it after. And I think what it is people don't think about, especially creators, how many people are doing that to them. Like how many messages I'm replying to every day on Instagram and Discord and emails and like replying to my comments and getting these DMs. It's like, you gotta think about it. Like take, my channel's over 8,000 subscribers. Well, take even if like a 0.5% of those or a 0.25% of those people are reaching out. Like, man, it's like hundreds of people, like, that I'm dealing with that from. So, where some people will be like, oh, you just can't take the heat or, whatever, you can dish it out, but you can't take it. It's like, no, I'm taking it. I'm taking it from 100 of you. Trust me. It's just old,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, somebody like you that does have, a following and things like that, it's like you have to kind of engage and you have to like read those things to, kind of keep your business like growing and things like that. So you kind of have to, read it and listen and engage with those kinds of things because it helps your business grow. If you don't like read your emails and you don't reply on Instagram, you don't do those things, then, you're kind of in a way then maybe going to be stagnant and you're not going to continue to grow on YouTube or things like that. So it's like you have to engage with that, but then again it's like, it's kind of a negative too. So
And that was like a big thing for me when I started YouTube. Like that was going to be like my mission is I was going to respond to every single person because that was one of the things that pissed me off the most about every content creator, right? Like barely anyone responds to their comments. And, you reach out to people and they won't respond to you. And, I always hated that. And so like, it was always a mission of mine since I started. I used to give a written reply to every single comment. Like nowadays, I just try to at least heart it. They know that I read it, but I read every single comment and I heart them, and then I'll reply to a good amount of them, or whether it's Instagram, I'll heart it, or I'll at least say something back when I can. It's not always right away, but I always get to everything just because I remember what it was like, and it's just I always hated that factor of it. So. But yeah, I mean, especially when the hate's coming on, I mean, going through and reading every single one, it's like, oh man, it drains you. It drains you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't leave too many comments. For me, I like to engage with YouTube when I'm at work. I put in earbuds, I listen to podcasts, YouTube podcasts, things like that. And that's how I like to engage with the hobby. It's like, it's just a distraction for me. So it's like when you're somebody like you where you're engaged in those types of things where you're producing the distraction for somebody like me. It's like it can definitely be stressful, and it's hard to turn that off when you do turn off YouTube. Whereas somebody like me, when I turn off YouTube, YouTube's gone. The people in the YouTube sphere, they don't mean anything to me. you know so it's just like, whereas like when you have a full-time YouTube or things like that, it's definitely hard to turn that kind of thing off, because that's your life.
It's really hard, and I've been letting it go more and more lately. But yeah, especially when you're getting called out for things you said, and your words are taken wrong, or your points are getting misconstrued. You want to jump in and correct people, or give your side of things. And when you do that, play that game, it's endless, right? Because there's thousands of them and there's one of you, and you're literally just going to be sitting on your phone and in your computer literally all day long doing that if you don't let it go. So
Yep, and that is definitely true, and I could see how some people could get sucked into that and get engaged, and just, I don't know. But
yeah.
I guess um, Fernando's asked this question a long time ago. I don't know if we want to, I guess, engage with it. We can maybe get away from the drama here.
What do you say?
So just came back from Collecticon, lots of singles. Do you feel like singles experience that predictable cycle that BB go through? I'm not too sure what that means. Cycle that
So
B.
these singles experience the same cycle that booster boxes go through.
Oh,
The rock,
booster boxes.
yeah, the rock bottom, then appreciation. Maybe for the better singles, and I would say probably longer time frames. So like where booster boxes will sometimes rise in a year and a half, 2 years. They'll rise sooner, but like especially once the reprints are done, you'll see that more like steady growth over that after a year and a half, 2.5 years. You start seeing that kind of steady growth, and there'll be ups and downs, but there's usually no like gigantic crashes or anything. I think singles are more like single stocks, where booster boxes are more like funds, where they have more steady types of rises and falls. Where singles are going to have those gigantic peaks and those terrible valleys, and that's why it's all about your risk tolerance. But I think singles, especially of like the top hits and the popular Pokemon and things that are sought after, after they went through all their crazy pre-release way up, then they drop after pre-release, and then maybe they'll have some spikes in the middle and stuff. I think maybe it takes a little longer than a year and a half, 2-3 years, but maybe after that like 4, 5, 6 year mark, they start to stabilize a little more, and they'll still have higher peaks and lower valleys. But it does seem like a lot of the good cards, especially from X, Y, and Sun and Moon, are starting to trend up pretty steadily. And so I would say just kind of maybe push out your time horizon, and as long as you're sticking to the popular Pokemon, popular cards, you could probably still do well. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, it does seem like that singles definitely hit a lower low than the booster boxes. It kind of seems like the booster boxes from release, and I guess the peak of release, and then it kind of everything kind of falls down. Seems like booster boxes don't necessarily fall as much as the single hits do. So,
well, no, it's just because there's unfortunately, like single collectors and slab collectors, they don't want to hear this, but there's always more. It's like every day, you can just tune into Whatnot or get on Drip or Twitch or eBay Live or YouTube, and these cards are being pulled every single day, and a lot of those cards are making their way into slabs, and it's just like the population of all those in existence are going up, 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 and up. While at the same time, because of that, it means the booster box population is going down, 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 and down. And so like that's why you have more stable growth in the booster boxes, because there's always less, right? I mean, there's a reprint, there's more, but like over time, there's just always less of them. And as they disappear in permanent collections and get opened, the scarcity just drives the price up.
do you think that it's maybe a bad thing that a lot of these booster boxes are looked at as an investment rather than as like a collection? Maybe as like some of the singles, you could say people are buying them for like a collection purpose.
I
Or
mean,
do you think that even matters, that people look at booster boxes as an investment, like in the long run?
I think obviously just like off face value, yeah, it's probably not a good thing if everyone's looking at it as an investment, because then if everyone's doing it, it's not worth anything. That's kind of like the old argument. But I think like, especially now seeing Sword and Shield already rise the way it is, seeing, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, like I think it's way overblown how many people actually do this. Like, this investing side of the hobby is already a small side. And then of the people that even know about the investing side or even watch the investing content, how many of those actually do it? How many of those people actually have enough money or put enough money into it over, just a box or two or a few boxes or a case or whatever, right? And then the people that actually do have the money and do it, how many of them actually hold the stuff long enough to where, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years down in the future, they're still holding it? I just think that is such a small number of actual people doing it. Then that's why it doesn't actually matter. Again, this is all speculation. I don't know. I don't have any insider info of what everyone out there is doing. I just think it's a very small number of people. And because of that, and because, everyone's got different periods of what they want to hold, different gains they want to see, different life circumstances. The people who are investing heavily are all selling usually at different times, and it's just spread out enough to where it doesn't, it does work. Yeah, I mean, there's a world where it gets to be where it's too successful and too many people start doing it, and because everyone's doing it, it doesn't work anymore. I just don't think we're anywhere near there yet.
Okay. Yeah, and that's kind of what my question too is like, because Sword and Shield is looked at and always kind of was in the moment too looked at as an investment, whereas like some of these previous sets were really never looked at as an investment. So I'm just kind of curious on how that might play out in the future as like.
Well, I mean, so like, going back to like some of the, forums back in the day, like, back in like 2017 and 18, right, when I really started to invest and stop like just collecting, that was kind of the rhetoric after Evolutions, to be honest with you. And a lot of people weren't around back then, and YouTube, like the investing side of YouTube wasn't as big. But I mean, even if because SM Pratt was probably like one of the first real long-term investing YouTubers, but even like some of his old videos, like you can go back and hear like some of the, statements and stuff, to where I think a lot of people thought it wasn't going to work in Sun and Moon. It's like after Evolutions, after Rudy Alpha Investment started his channel, like it was thought of like the secret was out. And I heard that in Sun and Moon. I'm telling you, I heard people say like it wasn't going to work. Too many people are doing it, right? And then we saw that worked out. Well, then we got to Sword and Shield, and the rhetoric was, well, yeah, but those print runs were way lower. This was before the pandemic, before Logan Paul and all the celebrities. Now the print runs are way too high. It's not going to work anymore. We're going to see Chilling Reign and Fusion Strikes at under $100 for years. And it's like, now we're seeing those, all in the high hundreds. I mean, they could be $200 by the end of this year at this rate. And it's like, when you see this continue to happen and you hear the same reasons why it's not going to happen, but it continues to prove true, it's like, at what point do you say, well, you know what? Maybe it doesn't matter because there's just not enough people doing it, or, not enough people have the balls to hold it long enough to where it becomes a problem, and there's still too much of it being open and things like that. I don't know where it ends. I just think there's always going to be a lot of naysayers when things are successful and they are perceived as too easy.
Yeah, and the thing with the Sword and Shield sets right now too, and the booster boxes, is that the thing with those is that they're still at the price point of where it's still, you can still potentially, make money if you're opening it. Like, the EV is potentially still actually a decent product to open because, you get a decent amount of hits and good cards in there. Whereas like these other sets, there's really no point to even open. So it's like Sword and Shield's in that good space right now, whereas like it's still being open, so product is still coming off the market because it's still worth opening.
I mean, especially like Crown Zenith, it's like the amount of valuable cards in that set for a $40 ETB, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, that is definitely a good underrated set. I know when TikTok had their deals, I definitely have heavily went in on some of that.
Yeah,
TikTok was that was a nice play, I will say.
it's really, I mean, I think they're having coupons again. So
yeah,
you get more.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I just wait till I hear people talking about it on YouTube, and then I I re-download TikTok, and I use my girlfriend's and my mom's, and
Hey man, it's the play. Like it's you can't not take advantage of it when it's right in front of your face.
yeah, I know. I like I was saying earlier, it's like $70 Silver Tempest box, and it's like you just can't go wrong with that. So,
You can't. Yeah,
and
you can't lose.
and I it's and the what scares me about TikTok is that you don't know who you're buying from. So, but there's a local game store. I'll even mention their name, Game Capital. They're
Oh
in De
yeah.
Pere. They're in De Pere, local to me. So I know for a fact they're a legit seller. So I was like, oh wow, I found them on TikTok, and then
They're one of the big ones too.
yeah, there's actually not that many sellers on TikTok, and you can tell the fake ones versus the real ones. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, the Game Capital, I always see them. They seem like they move a good amount of product. And there's other ones, I think like what Poke Collect, another big one, and but yeah, I mean, they're obviously like you can look them up on Google, and if they have a actual LGS and they have a website and stuff, like you can pretty much if you do any amount of digging at all, you can pretty much find out who the legit sellers are. And like one thing people have to remember is like just look at the price of the box before the coupon because the coupon's TikTok, right? So if the price of the box before the coupon looked legitimate, like it's just a regular deal, and it makes sense, right? Like because the seller isn't selling the Silver Tempest box for $70, right? It's this TikTok doing that. It's like what was the price before the coupon? Like that's what the seller's actually getting, and it's like okay, well that price makes sense. They're still making something, or they can afford to do that, like. Because if it was like $70, no coupon, odds are it's a fake seller. Don't buy that.
yeah, and the thing with TikTok too is that they only had a certain amount of product, so it was like a very limited selection, and there was only a few that actually had good deals. Like there were some, like I think it was maybe like Lost Origin and like Astral Radiance maybe on there that even with the coupon, it wasn't even really a deal. It was pretty much the exact same prices that you were, able to get it on eBay and TCG Player. Whereas some of the other stuff, like I know Crown Zenith was really low, and a couple of like Lost Origin, I think like ETBs and Silver Tempest was a really cheap booster box. So you just had to kind of shop around and do a little bit of research on different platforms and say, oh, okay, this is really not a deal, but this one is a huge deal. So it's just like
like I think those 151 UPCs were crazy in like
yeah,
the
yeah, you
60s
can
and
get those for
70s.
like $60 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get any of those, but I got some of the regular ETBs. For me, I think those are the better play. So
Gotcha.
we'll have to see how that works, but
I
easier to
think I think
easier to
151
score.
is gonna be fine.
Yeah, yeah. The problem with getting like modern stuff is that my my Pokemon room here is kind of a little cluttered as it is. So it's like I don't really want to have these huge boxes. I have a basement, but I kind of like to keep my stuff in one area, and it's just yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's like a real decision people have to make. Is trying to buy anything and everything, or trying to go for the best space. Type money for the space, and it's like, well, if you're doing that, booster boxes and some other things, but maybe stay away from the $20 collection boxes where it's going to take up all kind of space and it's going to be like a few $100.
yeah. That's one thing I do like about booster boxes is it's a little compact thing, and it's $150 or whatever. So
Yeah, it's nice. It is nice. Oh,
so I guess what's in store for you this year or upcoming months, or what's on the agenda for you?
you know, we're still giving Whatnot a try. I've had a good 4 or 5 streams or so on there. Some went better than others. I'm still trying to kind of find out what works, what doesn't work. And I'm not even 100% sure, it's going to continue forever. Like I said, it's just one of those other darts I'm throwing at a board. I'm just trying to figure out what makes sense, what works, what I have fun doing, what makes sense, what is a profit margin, makes sense for the time, suck. And, so just trying to figure that out. YouTube's going to stay consistent. I have some other things coming up with that. the buying and selling stays consistent. I'm still sticking with, pretty much any type of, honestly, it's not just modern. It's just modern's easiest to find, like, and I know the market the best, but I mean, I'll grade and I'll sell anything. I mean, I've even been selling some PSA 1 base set Charizards recently. So, I'll buy and sell and flip anything that I get my hands on that makes sense. And, yeah, man, it's just trying to grow more of what I'm doing and figure out what makes the most sense and kind of pour more effort into that.
Is it you mostly just do Pokemon, correct?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Like I said, I went into pretty good positions on the Yu-Gi-Oh 25th anniversary stuff. Um, obviously, I have small positions in One Piece. That's pretty much it. Like nothing else major other than like just collection stuff. Like I'll have random things in my collection, but no other like investments, I would say.
Okay. So I guess your quote unquote investments, is it just Pokemon? Do you do like, stock market, crypto or anything like that? Or what do you, if you,
Yeah, I still have a lot of money in the stock market. So like obviously my wife has a 401k. We both have Roth IRAs, and then I have a separate brokerage account that's it's not a retirement account, it's just a regular account that I have. A lot of the money that I didn't, so when I sold everything back in 2021 ish time, 2021 whatever. We put a lot of the money into like paying off like our cars. We updated a lot of the stuff in our house. We spent a good amount of it, but then I put the rest of it in the market back then, and so I still have that in a brokerage account. So it's just that and Pokemon stuff. That's really it. I mean, we have
that's,
a house, but I wouldn't say it's real estate. It's just our personal house.
and
Yeah.
that's seen a nice gain since then, I assume.
Yeah. And that's why I
Pokemon.
said before, it's like I could look and say, well, some of the stuff I sold is actually up, but it's like that money. I mean, especially for some of like paying off our cars and things, and then putting in the market, like it's done a lot better for me than if I would have been holding those boxes right now.
Right. And I was just going to say that. I mean, you sold at a good time, Pokemon was up and then it, it's just kind of been on a downward trend. And then, you bought into the market and the market's been nothing but an upward trend. So,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I look back and like I almost wish it wouldn't have happened. I mean, I'm happy. I'm 100% happy with everything that happened. Like, obviously, I made a bunch of money and all that, but I still own everything. If everything would have continued its normal trajectory, I would without a doubt still own everything. It's just things went up too fast, too quick. And it's like, I just knew. I mean, I think anyone who, had been in markets at all knew things were going to crash after the spike they saw. And so I had to sell everything, right? Like just being like any type of financial sense, unless you're just a collector and do not care about money at all. If you cared about money at all, like, I don't know how you couldn't have sold into that, and so it would have been nice if it didn't happen, so I didn't have to sell everything.
yeah, so there's two things I wish. I wish I would have sold what I had, and then I wish I would have had more. So,
Yeah.
because I mean, I didn't really have too much. My collection is probably back in when the boom happened, maybe 20%, 10% of what I have right now.
Wow.
Um, it's just I was in a little bit at 2018, but I maybe had like 20 slabs. I had like some like the big three and things like that, and PSA 9, and
So
I
you've
thought
been
about
going really hard since then.
um yeah, kind of. I will give credit where credit's due. I watched Pokenomics, a lot of his back in the hype when I was, like I said, during work and stuff. I like to, even you're an example as well. When people go live, if I'm not at work, sometimes I won't tune in just because I want to listen to it the next day at work.
I'll be
And
honest, it's weird. Like some of my best like lives are the daytime ones. I mean, they'll get like a lot more viewers a lot of times than my night ones do. So I get it. I think a lot of people are probably that way.
yeah, and just so listening to him and like kind of just seeing things in the market, and I was, I kind of got back in, in COVID. I got back in I think April, kind of when everything shut down. I remember Darkness Ablaze was coming out, and uh I was collecting a little bit then, and then, before it really started booming, I got quite a bit of decent amount of cards early 2020, and I saw the boom and hearing a lot of people saying, don't buy, and so I probably didn't buy any cards for almost 2 years, if not longer. But I was still engaged with YouTube and things like that because I found enjoyment out of that, and I maybe bought a card here or there, but most I didn't buy anything. And I'd say
It takes a lot
probably,
of self control.
yeah, and probably a year and a half ago, I've been buying a lot, and I
You
kind
know how
of,
hard it is to be engaged in this hobby like that and not buy? That takes some self control there, man. You gotta give yourself a pat on the back.
yeah, and I kind of do, like, because I saw, and then I saw the prices, and I should have sold the cards that I had, and I regret not selling it, but I did sell one card, my only PSA 10, and I pretty much um that one sale pretty much gave my whole collection for free. So I was like, and I was happy to get rid of that. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the hardest part about this hobby is the first few like couple of years, right? Like when you're spending, like you're putting your own money out of like your paychecks into the hobby. It's like you see these people making these 5-figure deals or buying these huge chase cards or having all this stuff in their background. And what you don't realize is a lot of that was made from the hobby. Like they didn't go to their bank account and take out 10 grand and buy that. Like a lot of it's a trade. A lot of it was, they made some sales and took those profits to buy that card, or the collection built up over time. And, they had a case of boxes that were $90 and then they went to 1,000 because of evolutions. And you were able to sell off those boxes and pay for all kinds of stuff. And when you're first starting out, you don't realize that. And you just think everyone's just got tons of money to blow. And the fact of the matter is it's just appreciation and good plays and stuff that built up over time. And you'll get there. It just takes, if anyone just starting out, it's just going to take a couple of years to start seeing the fruits of your labor.
yeah, I mean, because now it's like I look at my collection and it's just like, okay, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, and it's just like I look at it sometimes, or not even look at it, just think about it, and it's just like, man, if I had if I turned all those cards into money and it's just in my bank account, what what could I do with that, or what would make me more happy? And it's just like, do I even like? I don't know. It's kind of like a battle that I kind of fight with myself, but like it's
Dude,
just
everyone does. I mean, maybe not everyone, but I had that conversation with friends of mine. Like, we always say, like, man, I could like just cash out right now and have this much money. And I say the same thing to them. I go, okay, well, what are you gonna do with it? Well, I mean, I have all this cash. Okay, well, what are you gonna do? Like, how's your life gonna change having the money sitting there or here? you know?
yeah, it's kind of like it just I don't know. It's
Like,
just
unless you got like multiple millions, well, then it's like, okay, well, maybe I can retire. Maybe we can go live on the beach. It's like, but if it's just like, whatever, thousands, tens of thousands, it's like, all right. I mean, it's cool. It'd be awesome to go throw all kind of money in the bank. But it's just like, after a few days and all the, euphoria wears off, it's like, well, you're just doing the same stuff you always did. It's just you have cash here instead of cards. It's, I don't know. I think a lot of people make the mistake of selling their collection and they end up regretting it.
yeah. I think if I'm being honest though, if I probably sold everything, I probably would regret it. So I think that's kind of why what I have sold. It's just little pieces to kind of like make my collection. In a way, it's not free, but the money that I've taken out, I put back into the hobby. So the $5,000 sale that I sold on a card is like, the it's nice to just to say that I sold a card that was super expensive, and then now my collection is quote unquote free. But then again, it's like it's not free, So it's just
No, but that's the way you want to do it, though. It just takes your risk so far down, and it takes the stress away of it, and it gets you to you can really enjoy it more.
yeah, just knowing that like my my cards and things like that, like I took the money out of it, so it's like it is free kind of. So it's like it's good knowing that like I didn't spend $10,000 to put into this collection, whereas like, you know, it's might be worth that or more or whatever, and it's just nice knowing that like it didn't come out of my bank account, if that makes sense.
That's one of the favorite things that I do now out of my PSA orders. Like I just being able to build up my like slab collection. For like you said, quote unquote free. It's like, well, all right, I spent this X amount of money on all these cards. I spent X amount to grade them all, and at the end of selling this whole order, I can keep 2 or 3 slabs out of it and still profit. And these are basically free then. And it's nice to be able to do that, especially when you're sending in duplicates and it's cards you actually want to collect and things. And so like that's kind of one of my biggest goals on each PSA order is keeping a few of those for myself at no cost basis type thing.
Yeah, I find myself like, for instance, so I back in like before the boom, I knew somebody that had distribution, so I got a case of Evolutions and a case of Unified Minds, and I just
Those were 2 of the sets that I went big on.
yeah, and I just sat on them, and I recently sold Evolutions and one of the Unified Minds just to kind of quote unquote get the case for free, and then it's just like I'm kind of debating and sitting on the fact that I should probably just sell more of them. And, it's just like I don't know if it's my collector in me or if it's like I'm just a hoarder and it's hard for me to get rid of things. Cause it's like, do I need these extra 3 Evolutions boxes or should I just sell them? You know what I mean?
Or you could always use them as like trades for other things you're looking for your collection. To where no money has to trade hands, things like that.
Yep. I actually because I like to go to local shows. I find it fun, so I'll kind of just shop some things around there, and I was actually gonna trade one of my I only have one Arita signed card, and I was gonna trade it for um Burning Shadows PSA 9 Charizard. And I got to thinking the guy valued his at 500 and I was valuing mine at 500, and he wanted me to also pay more because he wanted me to put in like $100, and I was just like, you know what, it's just not worth it to me. Like sometimes trades are good, but then like I want to do a trade for value to value. I don't really want to do the trade where I'm losing, and I'm so like the things like the Evolutions and the Unified Minds boxes. I tried to actually trade those, and it's like
What were you trying to get?
For the Unified Minds, I wanted 550 for it.
Oh, you were trying to sell it. I thought you were trying to trade it.
Yeah, no. I was trying to sell those, and it's just like the 550. I think is a pretty solid fair
You
offer.
couldn't get 550 for it?
I couldn't. They were the lowest. The most I got offered was 510.
How long ago was that?
I think this was December, so like probably almost 3 months ago now.
Are you gonna sell it now?
Probably, yeah. I'm too scared to sell it online. I'm so nervous selling sealed product on eBay. It just I don't know.
Hey man, if that's your price, you got a buyer right here.
All right.
Unified Minds. It's a really good price on Unified Minds.
Yeah, I mean I'm assuming you'd be opening it, so it is case fresh. There's a little tiny little opening right there. You can maybe a little see it, but
yeah, man. I mean, Unified Minds is a great set.
Yeah, I love those Sun and Moon sets. I wish I had more, obviously, but
they're honestly like those are like I like opening the tag team sets because, like you said, the value of the cards like you can pull inside makes sense. Where it's like pulling a $500, you're breaking a $500 XY box. It's like, you can pull some of the big full art hits and they're like $20 cards. It's hard to like make that make sense to people. But if like, you pull some of the top hits in those tag team sets, I mean, they're multiple $100 cards, some of them. And so it makes sense.
Yeah. Not the Game Capital. I have another local game store, GB Games. Shout out GB Games. They have XY Fates Collide there, and I was actually gonna pull the trigger on it. They had it priced at 500, and I talked him into he would do it for 450. But I just
Especially
don't.
right there in hand, see the condition.
Yeah, it just I just I don't know. It's hard for me to invest in a box that doesn't have like expected value that you open it. So it's just I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the Alakazam has a really high 10 premium, which is nice.
But it's also very hard to get. So
Yeah, yeah.
because I actually have that card right over there, and it's like a
And it's in a
40.
10?
No. It's but it's raw, but it's a $40 $30 raw card, and it's just that's the best card in the set, and you're gonna get $40 for it.
Well, that's how XY was. I mean, one case, you're going to complete the set, like
Yeah,
every set.
yeah, that card is so good though. I love that card.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, XY definitely has some cards that stand the test of time, but, like you said, the value, man, especially raw. Other than like Phantom Forces and Flashfire, like they have some high dollar cards, but then they're high dollar boxes, though. It's like it's the same ratio type thing.
Yeah, yeah, that Flashfire Charizard EX. That's one of my favorite cards.
Which one, the blue or the full art?
The full art.
Full art, yeah.
It's it. I'm surprised that card's not. I mean, I don't know what it goes for in a 10, but I'm surprised that card's not more expensive in nines. It just It's the first full art Charizard. It has flaws. It's hard to grade, and it's just I don't know. I think that card just really it's one of my favorites. So
Yeah, I mean, I came up during XY, so it's like I love XY. Like I love all those cards. I'm smart enough to realize that I know a lot of people don't. Like a lot of people still prefer Sun and Moon XY, or I mean Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield. But man, I still love a lot of those XY cards.
yeah, and those were full arts that actually artists drew. So it's like people hate on the 5-band graphics, but these are full arts that actually were drawn by an artist, which actually I really like. I personally am not an artist guy, and I could care less who drew the card, and I have no idea even half these artists are.
Yeah,
But sometimes it's just like you know if it's an artist that drew the card and it's a full art, it should be a little bit of a better premium than something that's just a 5-band graphics that is on the card from different sets that we changed the color, and it's just
yeah,
like the Mew, like the new Mew EX. It's like you have a pink one, you have a gold one, you have. It's just at a certain point, it's just like, man, you got to stop.
yeah. And they just copy and paste it in Paladin Fate to make a shiny one.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's one thing
And
that
they
was
do the
nice.
same thing with the Charizards and Sword and Shield. They make the Darkness Ablaze and they make it into the Shining Fates and they make it into the what was the other one? Champion's Path, the Rainbow. It's like it's all the same Charizard.
Yeah. One thing though that yeah, I do knock on it, but I wish they did make a Rainbow Charizard V. I wish they would have done that because they do have the Charizard V, the pink one, and then they have the shiny one. Then they're missing the a rainbow of it because I have the Charizard GX, the regular, the rainbow, and the shiny or whatever. It just kind of looks nice next to
Yeah,
each other. So I kind of wish that the V did the same because I actually really like that shiny Charizard V. It's probably
yeah.
one of
They
my
always do weird stuff like that. I remember Generations. Like they made an Articuno and a Zapdos, but no Moltres full art. Or like they'll make some of the evolutions, but not all. Or like in Sun and Moon, how they have a rainbow Charizard, they have a rainbow Blastoise, but no rainbow Venusaur. Like they have a rainbow Venusaur and Snivy, but they don't have just like a rainbow Venusaur. And so it's like you can't have like a full set of the big three as rainbows, or they always do weird stuff like that in Pokemon.
yeah. Yeah, it is kind of weird like that. Because I'm kind of a weird like I don't collect binders, but when I do put cards in binders, I like to have like the Charizard VMAX, like just the three in a row. It just kind of like it just kind of looks nice in a way. So
Yeah,
red
I
white.
have the two. I need to. I sold the Champions Path Rainbow one. I need to get it again though. That's the one I'm missing.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, is it worth buying?
No,
It's worth
no.
selling. It's worth selling, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a
I mean,
card that's
like I said, if I get it again, like if I find it raw at a show and I get it at the right price and I can grade it, like I'll keep it. I'll keep it this time. But yeah, I mean, I bought it last time to flip, so I made the flip.
I guess what would be your like favorite alt art of the Sword and Shield era if you had to say?
Favorite alt art.
You can give two, like maybe one of your favorite Pokemons or whatever if you want.
Yeah. It really sucks they didn't make like a Mewtwo. I mean, I guess like the because I really like Mewtwo. I guess like the Pokemon Go one. But I'm not, that's my favorite. I'm saying I guess that's considered an alt art, but they didn't really make an alt art Mewtwo. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, those early XY. I know
Oh,
this
I
is
got it. Actually, speaking of Mewtwo, I don't know if it's an alt art, but the Crown Zenith one with the fighting the
oh
Charizard.
really?
I do love
Oh,
that card.
that one.
Yeah, I do love that card.
Okay.
That and the one from the UPC, the Charizard. Like I love those two arts, man. They're
Yeah,
pretty.
those are different. I don't know. I feel like the one with the Mewtwo and the Charizard, I feel like there's just so much going on in that card. It's hard. It's kind of hard to follow.
I mean, you got. I'm guessing yours has to be what, the Gengar.
No,
No.
I actually hate that card.
You know what's funny about that card though? It's like one of the only cards, one of the only alt arts that didn't see the big drop. Like
Hmm.
it stayed strong the whole time when all the alt arts were dropping. I mean, that
You
card's
think
been extremely strong.
you think that might have to do with all that stuff that kind of went on with the stolen product of that set?
I don't know. There wasn't a Gengars though, were there?
I don't know.
When I
I
saw
just
that
saw a
video, it was a
picture
lot of
of
the other
just
cards.
stacks of.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Gengars. If it was, I think it was like some of the other ones. But yeah, it could have something to do with that, though. You're right. It could be a lot less supply out there of it.
Yeah, for some reason, I do not like that card. I think it's just a poor alt art. I don't know. I
Which
just,
one you like?
I think my favorite might have to be, I like the Umbreon V or
Oh
the
yeah, from
Char,
Evolving Skies.
yeah, or the Charizard V if I'm gonna go basic.
I was gonna
The
say that one too.
the Brilliant Stars one where he's fighting the Venusaur, I think that's just,
I can't believe people don't like that card.
yeah.
It's
I'm
so
looking.
underrated, man.
I've been looking for it. I'm just too. I don't want to pull the trigger yet on it. I want to get it at a price of like $100, and it's just a little bit higher. And I just kind of, it was trickling down for a little while, and now I see it trickling back up a little bit. So I might just have to
Yeah, I
see.
mean everything's recovering right now, so I think you probably missed the bottoms.
Yep, I think I did too, but I'm gonna probably pick it up on auction at a 9. Um, for me, as a collector, that I like collecting graded cards. So if I can get a 9 for the price of a raw, I'm buying that all day long. So
Really?
yeah.
You don't try to grade yourself?
I don't know. I just haven't. It just seems like a lot of, I don't know, a lot of headache.
I mean, because hear me out on it, right? So if you're trying to collect nines anyway, and like yeah, you could say, well, if you can get it around the same price, you're actually saving money. But if only a few, every here and there get that 10, and the rest are still getting nines, like so you're already getting the 9 you wanted, but if the few get that 10, you're probably still going to come out ahead, in the end. So even if you keep it or sell
I
them
hear you.
yourself.
You know what? I think for me personally, one of the goals is that this year is that one goal is to continue selling, which I did in 2023. I've sold the most I've sold in the previous years, so that's a good thing. I want to continue selling cards, and I also want to start grading cards. So that's one thing that I do want to start doing.
So are you what do you mean, like you're selling, are you selling off, or are you like selling to buy different stuff?
Uh, yeah. So the stuff that I did buy, I I put the prices that I bought them at. So if cards that I've bought and have gone up, those are the cards that I'll sell. I'm not going to sell a card that I lost money on because I don't need to. So things that have gone up in price, I'll probably sell and I'll continue to sell, and things that I don't necessarily want, like a lot of the sports cards I sold, a lot of my vintage kind of sports cards, like I didn't want those, and they're, decent value. I could get sold a couple for a few $100s and things like that. So there's just things that I don't want in my collection that I can get rid of and buy something that I do want. So that's kind of what I have been doing. I sold a
Yeah.
few like early Pokemon cards that I bought early 2020, and they've gone up, so I've sold those. And a lot of the things that I've bought in my collection as quote unquote investment, they really haven't appreciated in value as like slabs. So I just don't see a point of selling something to lose money or to break even, because I'd rather just sit on it because I don't need the money.
Makes sense. I get it.
But I guess to your question is that, yeah, the stuff that I am selling, I'm putting back into cards. So
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if you were like starting to move out of the hobby or something.
no, I'd say more so just kind of rerouting some of my money. Like I said, I'm selling some of my vintage sports cards that I had, and I've been getting into kind of like some autograph cards. So I've been picking up some like UFC, like great, like Hall of Fame, like autographs and things like that. So like just things that are a little bit different. So I'm kind of like moving money around, you can say.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I do love Pokemon, and that's where most of my collecting and stuff is. But I've also branched out a little bit into Marvel, and now I'm kind of just getting into sports cards, autos. Not necessarily like the sports cards, autos, but just like people that I've grown up watching and collecting their autographs and things like that. So
Yeah. I get it, man. Oh, well, I guess I gotta get going here soon. I appreciate you having me on.
no, dude, I appreciate you, man. I reached out to you and I was like, oh shit, he's willing to come on. I'm like, that's awesome. I know you have a busy life and a busy schedule, and I definitely appreciate you taking 2 hours out of your night to come hang out with me. So that's huge for me. So I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, anytime. Like I said, I mean, I love talking Pokemon with anyone. Um, it's refreshing just like be able to talk to people and not be in an argument or at each other's throats or drama or debate. I'm just kind of over a lot of that stuff, and it's why I just enjoy talking to people like you and others who just want to chill and talk Pokemon and have a good conversation.
Exactly. Yeah, and I appreciate you coming on because I'm somebody that I like to listen, and that's how I engage. So I don't necessarily talk to people in my daily life about, what we're talking about and things like that. So I don't necessarily get to express kind of how I feel and things like that. And I take a lot of knowledge in. So it's kind of nice to be able to, I guess, pick somebody else's brain or hear what you have to say, and then kind of, also contribute as well. So it's definitely,
Same, same here. I agree. Yeah.
well, I appreciate you coming on. That's for sure. You've been awesome to talk to. Maybe I'll meet you one day if you ever maybe plan on going to Chicago Collecticon. That's maybe one that I might be going to. So
I'll be there. I'll be there.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I might have to make sure it's a for sure thing then, because
Yeah,
I
man.
don't live too far from Chicago. And my girlfriend actually gets pretty decent hotel deals because her mom works for Hilton. So can't go
Oh,
wrong.
you have to do it then.
Well, if is that where you plan on vending? Do you know, or
I was, yeah, that's where I was kind of thinking because I don't live far as well, and I can drive, because I really didn't want to fly and vend, and
yep.
so and the fly everything, and so yeah, that's kind of when I was eyeing. I'm gonna go to Kansas City too because it's so close for me too. But yeah, I was thinking about trying the Chicago one to vend.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll maybe hit you up on Instagram again before then, and maybe we'll meet up in Chicago, and I'll be looking forward to that. So I
For sure. Sounds
again
good, man.
I appreciate you coming on, and thanks for talking, and have a good rest of your night, and I'll see you later.
All right, we'll see you.
Everybody else, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.